and I'm from Kerala, I'm Malayali. I've done my Masters in English Language and Literature from Kerala University. I've been teaching in Hyderabad for more than 12 years. I teach in many institutes here. Now I deal with the verbal part of the examination. In the case of CSAT, I deal with reading comprehension, logical reasoning. And in the case of mains, I deal with writing skills. Right? I can understand Telugu. I can speak as well. Anyway, as it is UPSC, communication be only in English. Right? Fine. Your mother tongue is Telugu, everyone. Now, we'll focus on CSAT now. We'll think about the writing skills part, mains part later. Now, as you know, every year, the CSAT paper is getting tougher. Right? They make it tougher purposely. Right? Have you taken the exam earlier, or next year is going to be the first attempt? The first attempt? You've taken? No. Next year, first attempt. Everyone. Now, every year, the CSAT paper gets tougher, in fact. Right? Now, earlier, as you know, after 2014 IS, CSAT was a scoring paper, then became a qualifying paper. And the thing is that many students don't take CSAT very seriously now. They take it light. And that's where they lose as well. Right? And the UPSC knows it very well. Right? Even though you need to get only the qualifying marks, many students don't qualify prelims only because of CSAT. Right? Because the verbal part as well as the non-verbal part, the math part, the English part, both the parts appear to be really tougher, right, as the year goes by. In the case of CSAT, as you know, you need only the qualifying marks, right? But the questions that are appearing now in CSAT, right, are really tough. Talking about the verbal part of our examination, now we have only two sections, reading comprehension and logical reasoning. Now we have only these two sections in the verbal part of CSAT. Now, there will not be any question on grammar. There will not be any question on vocabulary. All the questions that appear in the verbal part of examination will be based only on reading comprehension and logical reasoning. If a person is able to speak English fluently, right, it doesn't mean that he can crack questions in the verbal part, because that is spoken syntax. Now, spoken syntax is not getting tested in our examination. What is getting tested is written syntax, right? In the case of reading comprehension and logical reasoning, we need to think a bit. Right? Time consuming. And there's nothing like guesswork. We should never rely on guesswork. That's what most of the students do actually. Right? They'll think English, no, we can crack it anywhere, and they'll go and do some guesswork and come back, thinking the answers that they mark are correct. Now, in fact, what seems correct may be incorrect. What seems incorrect may be correct. So we can never rely on guesswork. So in the case of our examination, when we talk about reading comprehension and logical reasoning, we need to go by some concepts or some strategies. Now, these two come under verbal logic. If you check the papers in the previous years, right, you understand the difficulty level. The difficulty level varies, in fact. Again, in fact, it goes, the paper becomes tougher year by year. In 2020, in the verbal part, there was not even a single question on reading comprehension. All the questions in the verbal part were on logical reasoning. In 2021, there was not even a single question on, in the verbal part I'm saying, there was not even a single question on logical reasoning. All the questions were on reading comprehension. In 2022, in the verbal part, we had questions on both reading comprehension and logical reasoning. This year also it was the same, right? We had, in fact, we had only two passages, in fact. Right? All the other questions, the verbal part, were on logical reasoning. And in the case of reading comprehension and logical reasoning, there are some types of questions. When you take a question, you need to identify which type it is and then move accordingly. Because every type has got its own approach. This year in the verbal part, there were 27 questions, right? And most of the questions were on logical reasoning. This year, that's how the paper happened this year. You might have checked the key or something. You might have gone through the paper or checked the key, you'll understand that. Now, in the case of reading comprehension and logical reasoning, as I said, some concepts are there that need to be followed. We should have a specific reason, a valid logical reason to select an option as well as to eliminate an option. Now, logical reasoning questions appear this way: a short paragraph followed by a question. Reading comprehension, sometimes the passage may be a bit long, followed by 2 or 3 questions, sometimes 4 questions, sometimes 5 questions. That's how reading comprehension questions appear. Now, as these two come under verbal logic, the option that we select as the answer must undoubtedly make sense. Logic is all about making sense, right? Now, what do we say must be logical? What do we do must be logical? And verbal logic questions test our reasoning ability, right? Now, in the case of a question in the verbal part of examination, whether it's a reading comprehension one or logical reasoning one, the two things that need to be focused on are, one is understanding the context. Understanding the context means the meaning of each and every sentence or each and every idea must be understood by us. That is understanding the context. The other one is identifying the charge. Now, identifying the charge in the sense whether a question or an idea carries a positive charge or a negative charge. These are two things we need to focus on. Now, the way you eliminate options in the case of mathematics using the charge, the same way you can eliminate options in the case of English using the charge. When you take a question, you need to identify the charge of the question. Now, if the author uses positive words in a sentence, the sentence will of course be positively charged. The same way, if the author uses negative words, the sentence will of course be negatively charged. So, based on the words used by the author in a sentence, we need to identify the charge of that option or charge of that sentence. Now, there are many strategies that help us understand the context. There are many strategies that help us identify the charge. So, all the concepts we go for in the class will be based on these two, the context and the charge. In our classroom sessions, we'll discuss every exercise, every question, every option based only on the concepts. That means if you say A is your answer, you must tell me based on which concept is A your answer and based on which concepts are the others not your answers. We need to have very logical reason to select an option as well as to eliminate an option. Now, the problem with most of the students is that most of us or some of us feel tensed when we're not able to understand the whole passage, right? Now, what I say is very simple. Never try to understand the whole passage. It's not possible, in fact. And we're not going there to by heart the whole passage and come back. We don't want that, right? What we need is, we need to get the answers correct. We should never try to understand the whole passage. And if you try to understand the whole passage, it becomes a waste of time. I say waste of time. Because the questions that follow the passage, or in the case of logical reasoning, the question that follows a short paragraph will not be based on all the details given there in the passage. So if you try to understand the whole passage, it becomes an utter waste of time. Instead, we'll try solving questions on reading comprehension and logical reasoning using some concepts or strategies. Now, only one sentence in the passage will talk about one option, that is for sure, right? One option will not be talked about in more than one sentence in the passage. So what we need to do is go to every option, understand the meaning of the option and the charge of the option. That it is your task, in fact. No one helps you in that, right? Each and every word in the sentence or in the option matters. You need to identify exactly which sentence in the passage talks about that option. Only one sentence talks about one option. Compare that option only with that sentence. Forget about the rest of the passage. We're not concerned about the rest of the passage. We need to compare only that sentence with the option. The meaning of the option and the meaning of the sentence that talks about the option must remain the same. If there's a slight difference in the meaning, just eliminate that option. There's not even a slight difference in the meaning. The charge of the option and the charge of the sentence that talks about the option must remain the same. If the option is positively charged, the sentence that talks about it must also be positively charged. The same way, if an option is negatively charged, the sentence that talks about it must also be negatively charged. The charge must remain the same, the meaning must also remain the same. Only if these two are completely fine, we can select an option as the answer. If the charge is the same, but if the meanings are different, just eliminate that option, right? So we'll never try to understand the whole passage. We'll focus only on the sentence that talks about every option. So all the concepts we go for in our sessions must be applied only onto these two. The sentence that talks about the option and the option, that's it, right? So we'll never go for the understanding of the whole passage in our sessions anyway. Anyway, the length of the passage doesn't matter to us, right? Because if it is a short passage or a long passage, we should never try to understand the whole passage. And sometimes Short passages are much trickier than long ones, right? You may come across some confusing options. In the case of our examination, UPSC, CSAT, especially UPSC, the answers to reading comprehension and logical reasoning questions will not be explicitly stated in the passage. They will be implicitly stated in the passage. Now, every sentence has an explicit meaning and an implicit meaning. What do you mean by an explicit meaning? What's the meaning of the explicit meaning? What does the explicit meaning convey? Explicit meaning means the outer surface meaning, the one that is directly stated or very clearly stated. Implicit meaning is the one that is hidden in the paragraph or in the passage. It will not be directly stated, it will not be clearly stated, be hidden in the paragraph. And usually the answers will be implicit, right? And as I said, what you feel is the answer may not be the answer sometimes. You need to have a good grip of the English language, especially in the case of mains. Because mains in a sense is all about writing. You need to frame sentences that convey your ideas. And there are thousands of sentences, right? No matter how good your ideas are, if you are unable to convey them properly through sentences, your ideas are of no use. We'll think about the writing part later. In the case of CSAT, all the sentences given to us will be grammatically correct. No doubt in that. We just need to understand the meaning and the charge of every option and the meaning and the charge of a sentence that talks about the option. That's it. Nothing else, right? Now, in the case of logical reasoning, we may come across paragraph-based reasoning questions as well as statement-based reasoning questions. Both have appeared. Paragraph-based reasoning means a short paragraph followed by a question. Statement-based reasoning means a sentence followed by a question. And if it is paragraph-based reasoning or statement-based reasoning questions, right, the way of approach or the strategies remain the same. Now, I'll give you a list of keywords. You need to by heart the list. We'll try solving some questions on reading comprehension and logical reasoning using those keywords, apart from some other concepts, right? To give you an example, I go for a sentence like, you know, understand the meaning of a sentence. Beauty is present everywhere. Beauty is present everywhere, comma, but not everyone identifies it. Beauty is present everywhere, comma, but not everyone identifies it. You may take it as a logical reasoning question, a statement conclusion question, or as a sentence given in the passage. The sentence that talks about a particular option, right? What my question is, from this sentence, can you go for an inference like, or can you go for a conclusion like, some identify beauty. Some identify beauty. Can this conclusion or can this inference be drawn from this sentence? Beauty is present everywhere, but not everyone identifies it. From this, can we conclude some identify beauty? Yes? Unanimous? I say no. Right? That is just your imagination. Right? It is not given there. Right? Now we go wrong because we imagine a lot. Right? While approaching questions in the verbal part, never go for any kind of imagination or general knowledge. No imagination, no general knowledge. Now you need to have general knowledge, but don't make use of your general knowledge in the verbal part. Stick only to what is given there in the passage. Never go for any kind of imagination or general knowledge. Stick only to details given there in the passage. Right? Now, usually these institutes go for CSAT class towards the verge of the examination. Right? But that shouldn't be done actually. Right? Now, every day you practice 2 passages. Try solving 2 passages, more than enough. And that do not through guesswork and all. Learn the concepts first. Apply those concepts because it may take time for you to get used to those concepts. Because you may be new to those concepts. Get used to those concepts first. Try solving 2 passages a day, more than enough. Because we have more than 1 year of time. Now, as I said, from this sentence, we cannot go for a conclusion that says, some identify beauty. That is just your imagination, as I said. Now, from a positive idea, we can derive only a positive conclusion. The same way, From a negative idea, we can derive only a negative conclusion. Now, as I said, I'll give you a list of keywords. We'll try solving questions on these two based on those keywords apart from some other concepts, right? Now, in this sentence, we have a keyword that is but. But is termed as a contrast indicator, right? What do you mean by the word contrast? What do you mean by a contradicting situation? Something is opposite to another or against another, right? A contradicting situation means an opposing situation. But is termed as a contrast indicator. It must always connect two contradicting ideas. One positive idea and one negative idea. The second idea always contradicts the first idea, right? One idea must be positive, the other idea must be negative. Now, in this sentence, we have two ideas. One is beauty is present everywhere. The other one is not everyone identifies it. It means beauty, you know that. Yet refers to beauty. So, we have two ideas in this sentence connected by but. And as I told you, one idea must be positive, the other must be negative. Based on the words given an idea, we must identify the charge of the idea. Beauty is present everywhere, negative, positive. Positive. Is there any negative word in this idea? There's no negative word in this idea. So undoubtedly, this idea is positive. But is a contrast indicator. The first idea is positive, so second idea must be negative. That means not everyone identifies it. This idea must be negative. And we have a negative word in this idea, which is that? Not. Right? So in the sentence given as a question, we have two ideas connected by but. The first idea is positive, the second idea is negative. Clear? The option I gave you is some identify beauty. This option is negatively charged or positively charged? Positive. Is there any negative word in this option? No. Some identify beauty. This option is positively charged. Right? Now you tell me exactly which idea in this sentence talks about this option? The first idea or second idea? There's no need for you to think, just look. Exactly which idea in this sentence talks about this option? The second idea. Identifying beauty is talked about in the second idea, right? Not in the first idea. So to get to know whether this option is correct or not, we need to compare this option only with the second idea. Forget about the first idea. This option is talked about in the second idea. Compare it only with the second idea. Just forget about the first idea. According to this part, the second idea is negative or positive? Negative. This option is negative or positive? Positive. I said the charge must remain the same. From a negative idea, we cannot go for a positive conclusion. From a positive idea, we cannot go for a negative conclusion. Repeat. This option is talked about in the second idea. According to the given sentence, the second idea is negative. This option is positive. Negative and positive do not go together. The charge must remain the same. So this option cannot be concluded from this sentence. That is based on the concept, right? Now we shall think about the meaning, right? Not everyone identifies beauty. Not everyone identifies beauty. Not everyone means, not everyone does not mean some. Not everyone means no one. Right? The meaning of not everyone is not some. The meaning of not everyone is no one. Now, even if you don't know the meaning of not everyone, this option can be eliminated based on the charge. Negative and positive do not go together. This is how we need to select and eliminate options in the case of both reading comprehension and logical reasoning. You should never try to understand the whole passage. As I said, it becomes utter waste of time if you try doing that. Right? Now, in the case of examination, we can never expect easy passages. They will never appear. So in the classroom sessions also, we will not try solving easy passages. If you try solving some easy passages and get the answers correct, you will feel very happy. But that happiness will not last long. It will be all the time of the examination itself. Right? We have to practice some passages or some questions that are of the same difficulty level as the ones that appear in the examination. Right? Only then we can tackle the questions that appear when we go to the examination. Right? And CSAT matters a lot. Right? Because even though you need only the qualifying marks, it's very difficult to gain the qualifying marks. Because the questions will be damn tough. The same is the case with mathematics as well. Right? If I go for a simple logical question, think well and answer me, right? All the students in the class are writing, right? All the students in the class are writing. Rahul is in the class. From this, can we conclude that Rahul is writing? I said all the students in the class are writing. Then I said Rahul is in the class. Did I say that Rahul is a student in the class? No. He may be a teacher in the class sometimes, we don't know. So from this, we cannot conclude that Rahul is writing. Fine. All the students in the class are writing. Rahul is a student. From this, can you conclude that Rahul is writing? I said all the students in the class are writing. Then I said Rahul is a student. Did I say that he is in the class? No. He may not be in the class sometimes, we don't know. So from this also we cannot conclude that Rahul is writing. I said every word in the option and every word in the sentence that talks about the option matters. Listen. All the students in the class are writing. Rahul is a student who is in a class. Fine? All the students in the class are writing. Rahul is a student who is in a class. From this, can we conclude that Rahul is writing? Yes or no? No. Why not? I said all the students in the class are writing. The class means a particular class, a specific class. Then I said Rahul is a student who is in a class. A class means what? It may be any class. He may not be in that particular class. So from this also we cannot conclude that Rahul is right. Fine? All the students in the class are writing. Particular class. Rahul is a student who is in that class. Right? Repeat. All the students in the class are writing. Rahul is a student who is in that class. From this, can we conclude that Rahul is writing? Yes or no? Now we can conclude. If a sentence says that girl, immediately before that sentence, there will be or there must be a sentence containing mention about some girl. Only then we can say that girl. If a sentence says these boys, immediately before it, there will be a sentence containing mention about some boys. Only then we can say these boys. The same way, if a sentence says that class, immediately before it, there will be or must be a sentence containing mention about some class. Because only then we can say that class. So I said all the students in the class are writing. Particular class. Rahul is a student who is in that class. That class means which class? The class where all the students are writing. So what should Rahul be doing now? Rahul must also be writing. Right? So understand the question well before moving on to the options. A single word is more than enough to change the entire meaning of a sentence. That is the context and the entire charge of a sentence. The meaning and the charge may change with a single word sometimes. So focus on every word that is there in the option, every word that is in the sentence that talks about the option. Make sure that the meaning remains the same, the charge too remains the same, then select it as the option. Right? Now, as you know, English is a very complicated language. Now, sometimes a single word is more than enough to change the entire meaning of a sentence, the charge, the context, and the entire charge of a sentence. The meaning and the charge may change with a single word sometimes. Right? If I say, it's very cold outside. It's very cold outside. And I like this weather very much. Right? It's very cold outside. I like this weather very much. If I like this weather very much, should I say it is so cold outside or it is too cold outside? One is negative, one is positive. Which is negative, which is positive? I said like this weather very much. If I like it very much, should I say so cold outside or too cold outside? So cold outside. So 2 is negative? Yes? Give me some examples to say that 2 is negative. Too hot, negative. Some more? Some more examples. Too bitter, negative. If I say, the girl is too smart, right? The girl is too smart, negative, positive. Yes? If I look at you and say, you are too smart, right? You are too smart. Should you feel happy or not? No, I'm just telling you, you are too smart. Should you feel happy or not? How many will feel happy? Happy. How many won't feel happy? How many have any emotions at all? You have some emotions, right, when someone tells us something. What do you mean by too smart? Too smart means over smart. Being overly smart is termed as too smart. Now, when TOO2 comes with an adjective, you know what an adjective is, right? Any word that describes a noun or a pronoun, like beautiful, good, intelligent, innocent, honest, sincere, bad. When TOO2 comes with an adjective, it is negative, right? Too good, negative. So if I tell you are too smart, you should not feel happy. If I say you're so smart, then you can feel happy. So if I like this weather very much, I should say this, so cold outside. If I don't like, I should say this, too cold outside. Now, when you watch a reality show on television, after performance, the anchor comes and says, too good, too good. Too good is a negative usage or a positive usage? It's of course a negative usage. But from the way the anchor says too good, we can understand that she has meant it in a positive manner. That is spoken syntax. Forget about spoken syntax. We need written syntax, right? We need to focus only on the details given there in every option. And we need to focus on the word that is there in every option. We need to understand the meaning of every option, the charge of every option, right? Because a single word changes the entire meaning and the entire charge. If I go for a sentence like, the boy is too intelligent. The boy is too intelligent. Negative positive. The boy is too intelligent. Negative? Of course. Too much of everything is bad. Too intelligent, too beautiful, too sincere, too honest, too innocent. Now, people who are too innocent must be careful about. They'll try to cheat us. All these are negatively charged, right? Now, there is a concept by name double negation. This will surely help us eliminate some options in the case of both reading comprehension and logical reasoning. Double negation. Double negation means when two negative terms come together, the meaning becomes positive. As you know, minus into minus is plus. Right? Antivirus. Antivirus is a negative word or a positive word? Positive. Anti is a negative prefix or a positive prefix? Negative prefix. Meaning? Anti means against or opposite, right? We'll not go for vocabulary in depth because there will not be any question on vocabulary in the examination, right? Whereas we'll go for contextual vocabulary. I'll tell you about it. Anti is a negative prefix. Virus is a negative word or a positive word? Negative word. Anti is a negative prefix. Virus is a negative word. Two negative terms coming together, double negation. Antivirus becomes a positive word. Antiseptic, anti-ragging, anti-corruption, anti-terrorism, all these are positive words only because of double negation. Not impossible, negative positive. The same is the case. Not is negative, impossible is also negative. Double negation, not impossible means possible, which is positive. Not bad, negative positive. Positive. But not bad cannot be termed as that positive. Not bad means an average performance. An okay kind of performance is not bad. Still it is positively charged because of double negation. Right? If I go for a sentence like, the boy is too intelligent to be cheated. The boy is too intelligent to be cheated. The whole sentence is negatively charged or positively charged? The boy is too intelligent to be cheated. The sentence is negatively charged or positively charged? Positive? Yes? Unanimous? How come positive? This sentence is positively charged because of double negation. I used two negative terms here. Too intelligent is negative. To be cheated is also negative. We have two negative terms in this sentence. Double negation becomes positive. What is the meaning of this sentence? He is too intelligent to be cheated means he is so intelligent that He cannot be cheated. That's the meaning of the sentence. Now, we cannot miss any concept because we don't know based on which concept we are going to get some help. Right? And as I told you, we will not go for vocabulary in depth. In our examination, contextual vocabulary matters a lot. There may be a question based on contextual vocabulary. In fact, this is an advantage while approaching both reading comprehension and logical reasoning. The contextual vocabulary means, as you know in English, one word has many meanings. When you refer a dictionary, the word will be here, the meanings will last here. One word has many meanings. And the meaning of a word depends on the context or the situation in which the word appears. Reading comprehension, a passage may be followed by a contextual vocabulary question, right? When you find a contextual vocabulary question, the question appears this way, a word will be given in the question. The same word will be there in the passage, used only once. The options will be words. And our task is to go for a word, to replace the word that is given as the question. So we need to focus only on that context where that word is mentioned. In that context, if that word is used in a positive way, the option that we select must also be positive. The same way, that if it is used in a negative way, the option that we select must also be negative. If I say sound, you know one meaning of sound. What if I go for a sentence like, the boy is sound at mathematics. The boy is sound at mathematics. What is the contextual meaning of sound here? Good. Some more words. Some synonyms to give. Good. Some more words. Perfect. Knowledgeable. Sharp. Expert. All these words fit the context. If I say romance, does the word romance mean the love affair between a boy and a girl? The love affair between a boy and a girl is termed as romance or not? Yes or no? Of course. Of course there's romance. But that is only one of the meanings of romance. Right? If I say, I am in romance with this marker. I am in romance with this marker. Am I going to marry the marker? No. Makes sense or not? Makes sense? The option that we select as the answer must undoubtedly make sense. Because it's verbal logic. Right? I am in romance with this marker, of course it makes sense, right? I am in romance with nature, makes sense. I am in romance with my phone, makes sense. No extreme liking towards anything can be termed as romance. And the love affair between a boy and a girl is only one of the meanings of romance. I am in romance with this marker means I like this marker very much. I am a nature lover, I am in romance with nature. The meaning keeps changing. We'll go for this one in detail, contextual vocabulary. Now, there are many words in English language that sound positive but are negative. They sound negative but are positive. Such words may sometimes confuse us while identifying the charge of an option. Right? If I go for a word like artful. Artful. Artful is a negative word or a positive word? Artful. Okay. One second. Art is a negative word or a positive word? Of course, positive. What do you mean by arts? If I say a person of arts means? A person of arts means talents, skills, abilities. So art is of course a positive word. Artful, artless. Which is positive, which is negative? Artful is positive, artless is negative. In fact, it's the other way. Artful is negative, artless is positive. Now, if someone says I'm an artful person, I should not feel happy. Because an artful person is one who plays tricks on others, who cheats others, who deceives others, a cunning person. Whereas an artless person is a very sincere, straightforward, innocent, honest person. So even though artful sounds positive, it is negative. Artless sounds negative, but it is positive. So such words may sometimes confuse us. Selfless, negative, positive. Positive or negative? Positive. What kind of person can be called a selfless person? One who is empathetic, right? Who does not care too much about himself, who is always concerned about the welfare of others. Right? Such a person is termed as a selfless person. Positive. Opposite? Selfish. Selfish person is one who thinks only about himself. He doesn't even care about others. Selfless sounds negative, but it is positive. Selfish anyway is negative, you know that. Heartful, negative, positive. Heartless, negative, positive. If I say you're a heartless person, doesn't mean you don't have heart? No. You should never take the literal meaning. What kind of person should be called a heartless person? Who does not have any kind of feelings for this. A person with no humanity, right? A rude, a cruel person, a cunning person, right? Heartless person, negative. Heartful, negative, positive. Positive or negative? It is not positive, it is not negative. There is no word in English like heartful. Even though we use it, it is not there in the English language, right? Now, there's something called Indian English. What means Indian English? Not that British English and all, right? Indian English means like, we Indians have invented many things in the English language, which English people don't know. And we use those every day while speaking and while writing, right? Such a word is heartful. That word is not there in the English language. Heartful congratulations or hearty congratulations. It's always hearty congratulations. Wholeheartedly is also there, right? But heartful is not there in the language. Now you should think about all these things while framing sentences when it comes to mains. Okay, CSAT, as I told you, understand the meaning of every option, the charge of every option based on the words given in the option. Now while reading and while writing, word order matters a lot. Word order means the order in which the words are arranged in a sentence. When the word order changes, the meaning gets completely changed. The charge also gets completely changed. We need to understand the meaning of every option based on the order in which the words are arranged in the option, right? If I go for a simple statement like, only Ram can do that work. Only Ram can do that work. Am I praising him or putting him down? If I'm praising him, the charge must be positive. If I'm putting him down, the charge must be negative. Right? Only Ram can do that work. Praising him or putting him down? Praising him. Only Ram can do that work means Ram is the only person who can do that work. No one else can do that work. I'm praising him, the charge is positive. Right? Now I'm not changing the words. I just changed the order of the words and write. Ram can do only that work. Ram can do only that work. Now am I praising him or putting him down? Now I'm putting him down. Ram can do only that work means that is the only work he can do. He cannot do any other work. So now I'm putting him down, the charge becomes negative. So word order matters a lot while writing and while reading. Forget about speaking. We're not concerned about speaking as of now, right? As far as examination is concerned, we're not going for anything on speaking. We'll focus only on reading and writing. Now, in the case of mains, after framing a sentence, you will not get time to go back and see whether your idea is getting conveyed to a sentence that you framed or not. So while framing itself, we need to keep many things in mind to make sure that whatever we want to convey is getting conveyed to a sentence that we frame. I too love you or I love you too. Which one makes sense? Now here, the TWO2 is not the negative 2. If it has to be a negative 2, there must be an adjective along with it. Too bad, too smart, right? Then it becomes negative. Here, TWO2 means also. There's a meaning of 2 here, right? I too love you or I love you too. Which one makes sense? How many say I love you too? How many say I too love you? How many say both make sense? Both are completely fine. Both make sense, but the meanings are completely different only because of the word order. Only 4 words are there. I love you too. I too love you. The word order is different. The meanings are completely different. If I give you a situation, a context, right? Someone tells you, I love you. And you love that person back, right? Someone tells you, I love you, and you love that person back. In this context, if you love that person back, right? So in this context, should you say, I too love you or I love you too? In this context, I'm asking. Right? I too love you, I love you too. I love you too. Yes? Anyone saying I too love you? If I say I too love you, what is the implicit meaning of this sentence? I told you, in the case of reading comprehension, logical reasoning, the answers will not be explicit. There will be, very rarely we can find some explicit answers, right? Usually the answers will be implicit, right? We need to understand the hidden meaning of every sentence. If I say, I too love you, too means also. I too love you, what is the implicit meaning of this sentence? Too in the sense also. If I say, I too love you, that means somebody else loves you. Right? Somebody else loves you. In addition to that, I also love you. That is the implicit meaning of this sentence. Right? In this context, should I say that? When a girl tells me I love her and if I love her back, should I say somebody else loves you and I also love you? No. In this context, I should say, I love you too. In fact, while reading and while writing, stress doesn't matter. But stress matters a lot while speaking. Right? Based on the word for which we give importance, or based on the word we stress, right? We stress on, the meaning gets changed, or meaning keeps changing. When you say, I love you too, should you stress on you or to? To or you? To. You. Okay. If I stress on you and say, I love you too, what is the implicit meaning? If I stress on you and say, I love you too, the implicit meaning is that I love somebody else. In addition to that, I love yours. Should I say that? That will be the end of it actually. I should stress on to, I love you too. Wait. My friend loves you. Right? My friend loves you. I too love you or I love you too? No, here it must be I too love you. My friend loves you, I too love you. So understand the meaning of every sentence based on the order in which the words are arranged in the sentence. The same way, punctuation marks also deserve a lot of importance. Right? Comma, we'll discuss in the concepts itself. Comma, especially comma, semicolon, hyphen, brackets. These 4 punctuation marks are termed as appositions. A-P-P-O-S-I-T-I-O-N. What do you mean by opposition? Against or opposite. Apposition is the opposite of opposition. Right? Now these 4 punctuation marks, colon, semicolon, hyphen, brackets, these 4 will surely help us select as well as eliminate options while approaching reading comprehension and logical reasoning. We'll discuss all those in the concepts. Right? Now, some words, you may come across some confusing words. There are many words in language that almost mean the same. Only a slight difference will be there. Like, what's the difference between praising and flattering? Praise and flatter. One is negative, one is positive. Which is negative, which is positive? Praising is positive, flattering is negative. In fact, both mean speaking good about a person. Speaking good about a person, if he deserves it, that is praising. If he does not deserve it, that is flattering. Now we flatter a person for our own benefit. If I want something from you, I'll keep on saying many good things about you. My only intention is that I should benefit from that. That is termed as flattering. So praising is done with a positive intention, flattering is done with a negative intention. That's the only difference. The difference in the charge. Difference between getting surprised and getting shocked. Difference. Both are sudden emotions, right? Both are sudden emotions. One is negative, one is positive. Getting surprised is positive. Getting shocked is negative. That's the only difference. Now should I say, I am surprised at your performance or I am shocked at your performance. Which one makes sense? Surprised or shocked? Both make sense. Both make sense. It depends on your performance. If I like your performance, I should say I'm surprised. If I don't like, I should say I'm shocked. So both are completely fine. Both make sense. But the meanings and the charges are different. That's the only difference. When I heard the news of my friend's father's death, I was surprised. Makes sense or not? When I hear the news of my friend's father's death, should I feel surprised or shocked? I should feel shocked here. So getting surprised does not make any sense here. When the boy got the first rank, his parents were shocked. Make sense or not? Think well and answer me. When the boy got the first rank, his parents were shocked. Make sense or not? How does it make sense? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Doesn't make sense? We get shocked for a negative activity, right? We are shocked at negative activity. We get surprised at a positive activity. Son bagging the first rank is something negative or positive. When the son bags the first rank, his parents should feel surprised or shocked. And when we get the first rank, sometimes our parents may be shocked. But usually, when the son gets the first rank, his parents should feel surprised or shocked. Of course, surprised. Now, other children's parents may feel shocked, but his parents will never feel shocked. Son bagging the first rank is something, of course, positive. They must feel surprised. There's no reason for them to feel shocked here. Now, on your friend's birthday, you give a birthday surprise or a birthday shock? We don't give a birthday shock, right? We give a birthday surprise. Negative, positive? Positive. Electric surprise or electric shock? Anything like electric surprise? Something negative, positive? Negative. It must be electric shock. And when something really bad happens in the society, on television, we find surprising news or shocking news. We'll never find surprising news. Always be shocking news. One is negatively charged, one is positively charged. Complete and finish. Difference. Complete and finish. What's the difference? Now, in a way, both are synonyms. A slight difference is there. Complete is usually used in a positive sense. Finish can be both negative and positive. It depends on the context in which we come across that word. Right? First, I'll finish my work. I'll finish my work. Negative, positive? Positive. My work will be completed by me. Positive. I'll finish him. Negative, positive? What do you mean by I'll finish him? I'll kill him. Finishing a person is a negative action or a positive action? Negative action or positive? Negative. A wife completes her husband or a wife finishes her husband. Which one makes sense? A wife completes her husband makes sense or a wife finishes her husband makes sense? Both make sense. Both make sense. It depends on the wife. We have heard many stories about a wife finishing her husband. Nothing wrong in that. Right? Both are completely fine, but the meanings of the charges are different. If a wife completes her husband, that is positive. If a wife finishes her husband, that is negative. Both are completely fine. Which one makes more sense here? What is a wife's duty? A wife's duty is to complete her husband or finish her husband. A wife's duty is not to finish her husband. Even though some wives do that. A wife's duty is not to finish her husband. A wife's duty is to complete her husband. Now, a husband always says, my wife is my better half. That's what husbands usually say. Right? A husband says, my wife is my better half because she completes him or finishes him. Completes him. If she finishes him, means he won't be allowed to say that. So, if completes her husband makes more sense. But both are completely fine. Now, as I told you, we'll never focus on trying to understand the whole passage. We'll focus, in the case of reading comprehension and logical reasoning, we'll focus on every option, the meaning of it, the charge of it, the sentence that talks about it, the meaning and the charge of that sentence as well. I go for two sentences. One you take as a sentence given in the passage. One you take as the option. Right? Take this one as a sentence given in the passage. Right? Hang him not. Let him free. Take this as a sentence given in the passage, right? And as the option, hang him, not let him free. I said only one sentence in the passage will talk about one option. Compare the option only with that particular sentence. Forget about the rest of the passage. We don't need it. Hang him not, let him free, the sentence in the passage. Hang him not, let him free is the option. This option is talked about in this sentence. So know whether it is correct or not. Whether it must be considered eliminated. We need to compare it only with this sentence. When this option is compared with this sentence, this option must be considered or eliminated. For us to select an option as the answer, the charge must remain the same, the meaning must also remain the same. When this option is compared with this sentence, this option must be selected or eliminated. Eliminated? The meanings are same or different? The charges? Different? Now, in these two sentences, right, the words remain the same. The order of the words also remains the same. The word order remains the same. The words also remain the same. The only difference is in the position of the punctuation mark, that is comma. As with punctuation marks deserve a lot of importance while reading, right? Come to the first sentence. Once we start reading this sentence, where should we pause? Here, here or here? Once we start reading, keep on reading until where we find a punctuation. This particular part is termed as a sense group. What do you mean by a sense group? A group of words that make sense. A sense group is also termed as an idea unit, right? So this is one sense group or one idea unit. This is another sense group because I place another punctuation mark here, right? So this sentence must be broken down into two parts. Right? It comes in speed reading techniques. In the case of reading comprehension, meanings of individual words do not matter. What matter are the meanings of the ideas that are in the passage. Never get stuck with any word. Once you start reading a sentence, keep on reading until where you find a punctuation mark. The words in a particular sense group must be read at a single stretch and understood. Then move on to another sense, the other sense groups, right? That we can keep improving our reading speed, right? Now, we have only one way of reading this sentence, which is that, hang him not, let him free. That is the only way of reading this way to read this sentence, right? Tell me, how many meanings does this sentence convey? Only one meaning. Hang him not, let him free means he should not be hanged, he should be let free. That's the only meaning that this sentence conveys, right? Fine. The whole sentence is negatively charged or positively charged? Hang him not, negative positive. How come? Hang him is negative. Hang him is negative, not is also negative. Because of which concept is it positive? Double negation. Because of double negation, this idea is positive. Let him free, negative positive, positive. The whole sentence conveys only one meaning. The whole sentence is positively charged. Right? Fine. Come to the sentence given as the option. Right. Hang him, comma, not let him free. How should we read this sentence? Hang him is one sense group because I placed a punctuation mark here. Hang him is one sense group. Not let him free is another sense group. Right? And the words in a particular sense group must be read at a single stretch. Right? In which way should we read this sentence? Hang him, not let him free. We should pause only at the places where you find punctuation marks. And the places where you find punctuation marks are termed as fixation points. Fixation points are the places where we find punctuation marks. Those are the only places where we need to pause. So we can understand the meaning and the charge of a sentence only if you pause. And pause only at places where you find punctuation marks. The way to read this sentence is, hang him, not let him free. Right? Fine. How many meanings? One meaning or two meanings? Only one meaning. The same meaning or the exactly opposite meaning? The exactly opposite meaning. Hang him, not let him free means he should be hanged. He should not be let free. The exactly opposite meaning. The whole sentence is negatively charged or positively charged? Hang him, negative positive. Negative. Not let him free, negative positive. Negative. Can double negation be applied here? No. Double negation can be applied only when two negative terms come in the same idea. Right? Only when two negative terms come in the same idea, we can go for double negation. These are two different ideas shown by the punctuation mark, comma. So double negation cannot be applied. I said, for us to select the option as the answer, The charge must remain the same. The meaning must also remain the same. This option is talked about in this sentence in the passage. The option is negatively charged. The sentence that talks about the option is positively charged. The charges don't match. The meanings are completely different. This option must be eliminated. So word order matters a lot. Punctuation marks matter a lot. And each and every word in the sentence in the option also matters a lot. So we'll discuss some concepts. Now I'll take you through the concepts first with some examples. Now whenever you learn a rule or a strategy, make sure that you associate every rule or every strategy with an example. We may forget rules, but we may not forget examples. So with the help of examples, we can easily recollect the rules, right? So I'll take you through the concepts first. First 6 to 7 hours, we'll go only for the concepts, right? I'll take you through concepts in detail with examples, and we'll try solving every question on reading comprehension and logical reasoning based only on those concepts, right? So when we start with the application part, the exercise part, you must tell me the reason for every option, for selection as well as elimination, and that to base only on the concepts we discuss, right? So this will be our approach towards reading comprehension and logical reasoning. There's a verbal part of your examination. Clear? Fine? So that's it about the introduction part, right? Take it as an you may consider this as an introductory session. In the next session, we'll start with the concepts in detail, and slowly we'll move on to the passages, right? At the beginning, it may be difficult for you to solve the passages because as you're not used to those concepts. So once you get used to those concepts, you can gain some speed, right? I'll solve some passages along with you. I'll tell you how to select options, eliminate options. From that time on, you should try solving. We'll discuss every question or every option in the class. Every question and every option in the class. Clear? That's it. Anything to ask me? Any question? Any doubt? Clear? Fine. So I'll stop it here for today. Okay, which is reading comprehension, logical reasoning. Logical reasoning means one paragraph followed by just one question. That is what I term as logical reasoning. In the case of logical reasoning, we're going to focus mainly on 5 types of questions. What appeared this time also. Many main idea questions appeared. Message, right? Strengthening, weakening, right? Main idea, strengthening, weakening, questions on a message, inferential questions, and some assumption questions. Usually, these types appear in CSAT on logical reasoning. In the case of reading comprehension, 5 to 6 types are there, right? The types are different actually, right? Questions on examples, questions starting with why, questions based on message also appear. Then sometimes the topic will not be mentioned. The question will be like, which of the options is correct according to the passage? Reading comprehension means followed by 3 or 4 questions. That's how I differentiate logical reasoning and reading comprehension, right? This time, most of the questions were on logical reasoning. Only a few questions were on reading comprehension. And if you check this year's paper, the paper that appeared this year, we had many questions on message and main idea. Message means our focus must be only on the last part of the passage. That's it. Understand what the last part of the passage tells us. Go for an option that contains mention the last part of the passage. And eliminate all the negative options. Right? Because message, suggestion, advice must of course be positive. The message given by the message conveyed by the author, the advice given by the author, the suggestion put forward by the author will of course be positively judged. We need to eliminate all the negative options. So every type has got its own approach. So when you take a question, you need to understand which type it is and then move accordingly, right? I'll take you to the types of questions once we complete the concepts. Fine? We'll start with logic. We'll start with reading comprehension and slowly move on to logical reasoning. Fine? Anything to ask me?
Sir, how to structure an answer for
Mains. First thing is your language, right? As I told you, no matter how good your ideas are, if you're unable to convey your ideas through sentences, your ideas are of no use. Mainly, you need to have good knowledge of some grammar topics, like tenses for sure. Something on parts of speech. And there's a topic by name modifiers. We'll discuss all these, right? This one is all about framing sentences, right? Modifiers. A good knowledge of these 3 topics will surely help you frame grammatically correct sentences. If your sentences are not grammatically correct, your ideas will never get conveyed. Sitting at a table, which is correct? Both are correct. Both are correct. Sitting on a table, sitting at a table, both are correct, but the meanings are completely different. సిట్టింగ్ ఆన్ ఏ టేబుల్ అంటే మీనింగ్ ఏంటి? సిట్టింగ్ ఆన్ ఏ టేబుల్ అంటే టేబుల్, ఆ టేబుల్ మీద కూర్చోవడం. సిట్టింగ్ అట్ ఏ టేబుల్ అంటే మీనింగ్ ఏంటి? టేబుల్ పక్కన కూర్చోవడం. The meaning changes with a single preposition sometimes. On, at. So all these matter a lot while writing. So you need to practice writing. Forget it for time being. Right? Gradually you can gain that. First we'll focus on prelims, CSAT.